Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be taking a look at comparing Artist Loft level 1, 2, and 3 paint. If you take a look here at level 1, on the back there you can see it says semi-opaque, just says titanium white. They come in 120ml containers. If we take a look at level 2, they say medium viscosity acrylics, 75ml containers. On the back they say they are opaque, and it shows the pigment there as well. And if you're looking at level 3, it says professional high viscosity acrylics. It has a little swatch there of paint. They come in 59ml packages. On the back, their tinting scale is towards the high. It says professional heavy body acrylic with high pigment load, brilliant permanent colors, clean with soap and water. Okay, so here we are at the canvas. As I said before, we're going to do a few different tests on each of these to hopefully help you decide which one is best for you. I wouldn't really say there's a best acrylic paint, but there's a best one for what you're trying to do. So in this one, as I said, we're going to be looking at Artist Loft 1, Level 2, and Level 3. I have them in whites, and I also have them in phthalo blue. So we're going to be looking at each of those. For the whites, we're going to do a little test here. I'm going to put them out onto the canvas just at the top there, and so you can see the consistency of it, and I'm going to spread it around a little bit with the brush so you can see the transparency of it, or the opaqueness of it as well, and the differences between them. And yeah, we'll do that one first, and then we'll move on from there. So here we go. You can see I've used this one before. We will put a little bit of this on the top there. Now coming out of the tube, it's got a decent consistency to it. And if you look at it there, you can see that it's sliding down a little bit, but it's holding its form pretty good. But it is moving a little bit there. So I'm just going to take my brush here, and again, you can see it on the brush. You can see it now on the canvas. It holds its form pretty good. It's not very fluid. And we are just going to spread this out on the canvas right here. And I'm using a black canvas, so it has, you can actually see where the paint is and where the paint's not. So just that little bit of paint actually got a decent amount of spread on it here. Maybe I should have put out a little bit less. I didn't think it would spread as well as it did, even though I've used it. Okay, I've got a little bit on my brush still. I'm just going to wipe that off. And I like using mason jars to hold my water, because they got a nice seal to them, so that water's not going to leak if I have to close it up and leave it. And when you've got little kids around, it's a good tactic as well. And for my drying off rags, I just use old clothes. I just cut up old clothes and use those for rags. I find that, like this one's an old t-shirt for example, and I find that it absorbs nicely depending on the fabric. Alright, let's put a little bit of level 2 out here. So level 2, as I mentioned, says medium viscosity acrylics, titanium white. Let's put a little bit out here. Put that on the side here for you. So there you go. It's flowing down a lot faster than the level 1 was. And I guess that makes sense with a medium viscosity paint. So we are going to take this brush, and yeah, just feeling it on the brush, it actually doesn't feel as excuse me, as thick, which makes sense with how much it was flowing there. It glides quite easily across the canvas. Try to do it about the same as I did the other one. I did some crossways, and then I came back and did this way. Alright, we will wipe this off here as well. So again, that one flowed more directly on the canvas. It covered nicely though, but it did feel a lot thinner. So if you're going for a higher texture, as of now, level 1 has more, it's more thick than level 2. And we'll take our level 3 here. So here we got our level 3. This says high viscosity acrylics. This one said medium viscosity. We will take a little piece of this here. I think I did a little bit less of this one than I did the other ones. Maybe I'll add just a tiny bit more there. So coming out at the moment, that seems more similar to the level 1 than the level 3. When I put it sideways like this, it has like 0 flow, which is awesome. You know, if you're going for that high viscosity, that's more what you're looking for if you want a thicker paint. So that's not flowing down at all. Let's now take it on our brush here. I can already feel that that is way thicker than both the level 1 and the level 2, even though it was less paint. Looking at it now, it's definitely less paint. So I can really feel that difference between them. That little bit of paint is getting pretty good coverage over this black canvas here. All right, and I'm going to leave it as that for now. Rinse this off and dry it off. Okay, before I comment any more on those 3, I'm gonna let those 3 dry, because once we let them dry, then we'll be able to see the difference in opaqueness and transparency. So we'll let them dry first before we make any comments about that. Our next test is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take just our professional phthalo blue green shade. I'm gonna put a little dab of the titanium whites down each, and then a little dab of this, and then that's going to tell us the tinting power of our whites. You know, the lighter the phthalo blue gets, the more concentration of pigment we have, because the higher tinting power each of those is going to have. So we'll put down little dabs first. And I'm going to put all 3 down to start right away so I can try to make them as even as possible. That one's a little bit higher than the other one, but that's okay. All right, and we'll add, again, as even as possible. Our bits of phthalo blue. Okay, I'm just going to take a palette knife here, so I can find one that's clean. There we go. We're going to take a palette knife here and we'll just mix these 2 together. Make sure I don't have any white or blue hiding on. Okay. I'm going to grab a different one just so we don't mix things up here. So that's level 1. There's our level 2. And here's our level 3. Alright, so just looking at it there, the tinting power is actually pretty close, it looks like, for all of them. I mean, my paint might not have been exactly even, but it's not like one is drastically better than the other. I guess that's what we're going for here. It almost looks like the level 1 is the lightest, then level 2, then level 3 at the moment. But again, my proportions might have been slightly off, but in general, they're, in terms of tinting power, they're all pretty much the same. Don't mind that fingerprint there now. I just wanted to see if it was still wet or not so I could talk about it, but we're still a little bit still wet. We'll leave that for a minute longer here. All right, our last test that I wanted to actually try, just for fun here, I have, again, like I said before, level 1, 2, and 3 of both titanium white and phthalo blue. I wanted to just combine each of them here separately, using just level 1s, just level 2s, and just level 3s, just to see the difference, because I find it interesting that the phthalo blue in the professional quality, it will tell you what shade it is. It'll tell you that this is the green shade. They also have red shade, other shades as well. So if you look on the back of this one, the pigment is labeled PB15:3. Well, if you look at the level 2, the pigment on the back is labeled PG7, PB15:0. So it's actually different than this one. And this one's just called phthalo blue. It doesn't specify whether it's a green shade or what shade it is. And same with your level 1. Again, it's just phthalo blue. And if you look on the back, it's labeled PB15:3, like our professional, but then it says plus PY74, which is a type of yellow that has been added to it. So even though they are all phthalo blue, and the level 1 and level 2s are just called phthalo blue, that's it, they are actually different, slightly different in terms of what pigments are there. So if you're hoping to just kind of jump between different levels and have the colors be the same, say for phthalo blue or some other ones, they might be slightly different. So check out the pigment before you actually purchase them. Otherwise, you might get a little surprised when you actually open the bottle. I'm not saying that all of them are different, because some of them will be the same, but phthalo blue is an example where they are different. So just to show that, I wanted to show you a little bit here, and we're going to take a little bit of each of these and just mix them with their appropriate levels. And sorry about that, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty with my blue there, with the level 1 blue, I should say. So I'm just going to do a little bit of white with that one. What had happened was the paint had actually frozen when it was shipped to me, and it looks like it never recovered. So we'll move on from that one here. But you'll still be able to see the difference here. And we've already done this one over here, but we'll do a little bit again. Oh, that was quite a bit of blue. That's okay. Sometimes it comes out faster than you think it will. Okay, so let's just take a moment here, and I'm going to try to scoop just a little bit more of this out. It just turned into like this thick paste, but if we mix this around here, it's going to be pretty heavily white. Right, I'm going to leave it at that for now. you can see that it's pretty close to what the level 3 was before, right? If we would have got more pigment out, then we really would have seen that here. All right, now you can see here with the level 2, the difference in the blues, right? When I was first started mixing that, it almost looked more turquoise than blue, right? So you can see that difference there. Wipe this off, making a mess over here. And the last one, as we know, will give us this color here. So in terms of these phthalo blues, I can't say the most about level 1 because this one wasn't quite working for me today. But you can see that they are all different between them all as you go. So as you're choosing or maybe going between different levels of paint or even different brands of paint, make sure you're checking the pigment so that you're getting the color that you think that you're getting. Now if we go back and take a look at our opaqueness or transparency of the whites, you can see for level 1 is the most transparent between them all. And other than my little fingerprint that you can see there, you can see that level 3 by far is much more opaque than your level 1 and level 2 in terms of titanium white, which is something to definitely consider when you're working on a painting, depending on what you are working on. If you have something that is very white in your painting, you're going to want to get a more opaque white. Otherwise, you're going to be doing layer after layer of layer trying to get a white surface to show up. So level 3 is definitely the best for that. In terms of thickness, level 3 was definitely the thickest. As you could see, it didn't move at all on the canvas. On my paintbrush, it felt the thickest. Level 2 was the thinnest, and level 1 then was in the middle between the two. In terms of tinting power, now we can see still they're all pretty close. Level 2 and level 3 almost look identical. Level 1 looks slightly better, but again, my measurements might have been slightly off because I was just putting some paint out there. So in terms of tinting power, they're all pretty similar. But then in terms of the phthalo blues and how different they are, you can see the 3 different shades of blue that we have going on there, and how it really does change in between levels. And so that kind of goes again in between different types of paint as well. So that's my comparison. If you have any comments from your experiences, please add them below so we can all learn from them. If you haven't already checked out my other video where I tried 12 different types of acrylic paints, please check that one out. I will link it below as well in the description. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, hit the little bell so you don't miss the next one, and we'll see you next time on Brian Sloan Artist.